the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm reviewing episodes 1 and 2 of season 2 of And Just Like That. I don't know about y'all, but this season really kind of snuck up on me. I feel like maybe I forgot there was going to be a season 2. Season 1 got so many mixed reviews, and then with it being a reboot, I don't know, I guess I kind of forgot about it, so it snuck up on me a bit, and they gave us 2 episodes. So I'm going to go ahead and cover both of those in this video, and then I'll do an episode by episode breakdown each week like I did with season 1 if you want to dive back into those reviews as well. I have 2 pages of notes because we have a lot to get through, but while I have you, please make sure to subscribe, slide in the comments so we can discuss what I'm talking about here. Share this video, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we over here talking about stuff that you may or may not be interested in. I'm gonna get you interested. And if you like what you see here today, you can support my platform by becoming a patron on my Patreon. If you don't like what you see here today, keep it to yourself because I can't handle negative criticism. So let's get started. The overarching theme here is that the ladies are getting ready for the Met Gala. As you may or may not know, that's like the biggest night in fashion, especially on the East Coast. And it makes sense that these ladies would be invited. I'm trying to remember if in the Sex and the City series, the Met Gala was a thing. I'm going to have to do a deep dive and figure that out. If you know, slide in the comments because people love to tell me, well, actually, in the comments. So you can go ahead and do that if you know that. There is a stomach flu going around New York that's kind of impacting everybody's plans a bit, but we'll get to that. As an aside, did you guys notice that the bags seemed to be their own character in this episode? There was a lot with the bags, like when the ladies were at lunch, they had little stools to put their bags on. And then when Dr. Naya was having dinner by herself, there was a whole thing about her bag creating a barrier, and then Carrie's bird bag. I just felt like the bags were their own characters or something. I don't know. I could be overthinking it. Carrie has started a casual physical relationship with her podcast producer, right? This is good for her on her end. She's newly widowed. I could imagine that if you were married and expected to be married for the rest of your life and then you become a widow, you're probably not going to want to jump into a committed relationship too soon. So I can understand her wanting to keep things casual and free and whatnot. And I really like that. I like it when the woman is the one who's like, oh, I'm not really prepared for all that. So he invites her out to drinks with his friends. This tells Carrie that he's trying to take this relationship to a more serious place than what she's prepared for. So she's, doing what Carrie always does, or what we all do. Seek the counsel of friends and see what they say. And there are varied perspectives, right? Some people are like, men are so simple. And then people are like, men are complicated. So I love the phrase that they came up with is that men are dumb with feelings. I really reject the idea that men are dumb because I think that that's quite reductive and infantilizes men in a way that doesn't inspire much growth on their end. But sometimes it be true. I also felt Carrie when she was talking about poaching the egg because I go through phases where I want to be a super adult. And I love the idea of creating myself a luxurious breakfast before work in the morning, like people do on movies and TV shows. And sometimes I can do it. Sometimes I can commit for a couple days, and then other times I'm like, you don't have 10 minutes for that. Just go to Chick-fil-A. Get you a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. Don't make out time to be poaching no eggs. I also don't like a runny yolk. Anywho, so Carrie is being dressed for the Met by Jackie's wife, who is a hot new designer. I was really uncomfortable with the way she snapped at Jackie. So, okay, Carrie's dress isn't completely done because the seamstress caught the stomach flu. So they're trying to just bang it out with the last couple of hours that they have before the actual Met Gala starts. And pressure is on. Everything is tense, but I really was stressed out by how she snapped at Jackie. That seemed like a bit much. So, of course, they can't get this dress fixed in time. And Carrie comes up with the bright idea to just wear her wedding dress from the first Sex and the City movie with the cape that the wife designed. And I thought that that was a really great idea and a great move. I do not want a wedding. And part of the reason I don't want a wedding is because this notion of it's the single most important day of your life. If I live to be 107 years old, like I hope to, I don't want there to only be one really significant moment in my life. And I especially don't want to wear the thing that I wore on that one day. I don't want that to be the only time I wear that thing. So a repurposed wedding dress is always going to do it for me. And I mean, she didn't even really get married in that dress technically, so it did need another spin around the block. So I was really happy. I felt like that was a really good moment for true fans of the show. Carrie continues to be a bit of a prude. She does not want to do this podcast ad for vaginal suppositories, and not single-handedly, but she contributes to the downfall of the entire podcast network. So her podcast gets canceled, and this ultimately leads to the ending of her relationship with her producer, because he's like, let me just tap out before my feelings get further involved, because I can tell you are not feeling me like that, girl. And you know what? That's okay. Healthy boundaries were established. Everyone can walk away amicably. We're good on that. Lisa Todd Wexley is both my dream and my nightmare. I love the idea of aging gracefully, still having a banging ass body, having a fabulous closet, having access to couture, okay? I love that she's accomplished. She has her degree. She's a documentarian. She does the things. That seems great. What stresses me out, I hate the notion that I would be the only parent that my kids could come to when they have questions, comments, or concerns. Why they can't go to their daddy? Their daddy can't help them with nothing. And then the dad comes in, where's my tie? You can't figure that out on your own. Stuff like that. The way that marriage is portrayed to me in film and TV is very stressful. I don't want a partner who is also a child. I'm all for it. Let's mutually support each other, and let's have partnership, and I can help you out when you need help. But if the kids are running to me in the morning while I'm getting dressed and trying to focus on things, I need you to also kind of share in this load. And I need you to not come and ask me questions that you can figure out on your own. That stresses me out. I love that she held her boundary in terms of getting funding for her documentary. I thought that was a really important lesson for her daughter to see, because her husband is like, you're working too hard. Let me just cut you a check. And she's like, well, I'm very qualified to do my job. And thank you so much for the offer, but this is something that I can handle on my own. And she also lets him know that this will be a conversation that they will discuss later, more in depth, away from their kid. Very healthy boundaries. She, set a really good example for her daughter that a man can save you, but a man does not always have to save you. You can do things on your own, and let's have a deeper conversation about this later. I thought that was a really important part of parenting. The biggest moment for me for LTW between the two episodes was the walk across the street in the red gown with the train flowing in the wind and the husband being all caught up in it. I didn't like the dress so much just straight on, but seeing it in motion was incredible. And I love that she was like, oh, we can just walk. Let me tell you what I can't do. I can't walk that many blocks in couture and in a mask because I sweat profusely. I run hot like an old Chevy. Just call me Crown Victoria. Wait, were Crown Vics Fords or Chevys? Whatever. I run hot. I wouldn't have made it. Somebody was going to have to strap me to the top of a car or something. But I love the moment. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous moment. I feel like I want that framed like on a loop or something and just hang it over my head right there. I do not like Eunice, her mother-in-law. One of my greatest fears in life is having a horrible mother-in-law, because I'm not one of those people who, as a very grown-ass woman who has lower back pain and has to take a fuck ton of supplements to keep everything functioning, okay? And my right knee gives me trouble now. and I am knee deep in student loan debt, credit card debt. I'm a grown ass woman. I don't have the energy for elders to disrespect me. I'm grown just like you grown. Deference and respect goes both ways. Don't talk to me crazy in my house in front of my child when you stand in my house. Absolutely not. I also hate the respectability politics. I have very little tolerance for people who submit to the trauma of their generation. Yeah, we should take pride in how we appear. However, I always want to remind people that the people who got their asses beat on the Edmund Pettus Bridge were wearing trench coats and really nice suits and, shined shoes. It doesn't matter what you look like. A racist is gone racist. And the notion that you should alter your hair or your behavior or, when they go low, we go high. No, he was racially profiled trying to get a taxi, and instead of supporting him, you pretended you didn't even know who he was and then berated him for it later. I think not, sweetheart. That was so upsetting, and I'm hoping that maybe we see some growth from the mother-in-law later in the season, but I doubt it because those kinds of people tend to be just like ornery and stuck in their ways, and I can't stand it. I can't say, God, please don't give me a horrible mother-in-law, because if my partner lets his mom talk to me crazy, I'm cussing you and your mammy out, and you can go stay at her house. Anyway, this isn't about me. So Miranda is in LA supporting Shay's new career. She's looking for her own sense of community through Alcoholics Anonymous. I totally forgot about this part of Miranda's storyline. I'm not loving new Miranda. As I've gotten older and rewatched Sex and the City, I would like to be a little bit more like Miranda in terms of having healthy boundaries and telling people to just, off when they need to. I don't love seeing her kind of, I feel like, devolve, honestly. And maybe this is just her midlife crisis. And women are allowed to have a midlife crisis as well. Women are allowed to have an identity crisis. It's fine, but it's hard to watch because I feel like she's way more into Shay than Shay is into her. So Shay is in LA working on their new series, and they have their own things going on with body issues, and they want to change their, the showrunners want to change their identity, their racial identity, all these things. I get that, but Shay is also being really avoidant and distant. Why can't Miranda come to your show? Why can't Miranda hug you? I don't think that it's about body image issues. I think that it's being avoidant. And so later in the episode, Miranda is doing a beach cleanup and loses her phone. Again, one of my worst fears. And Shay sends what we find out is their kind of ex-husband that they never formally divorced. How are we dating in a serious way? And I'm a serious part of your life, but this is just something that you failed to mention because what, you're quirky? I don't think so. That's more than an idiosyncrasy. Like, I don't see it for Shay, and I don't see it for the way Miranda is handling this relationship. I want more from Miranda, and I don't like that Shay shut the conversation down when Miranda tried to discuss it with them. Like, no, let's talk about this. We can get back to the fun parts of the relationship, but I'm not going to be here just in service to you emotionally. I need the reciprocity. I need for you to show up for me emotionally as well. I really don't like it. I don't like where it's going, and it better get fixed quick. Y'all, I don't understand Dr. Naya's storyline. It's both all over the place, but also going nowhere at the same time. So Dr. Naya and her husband are doing like a trial separation because they can't come to an agreement about having a kid. And so he's on tour in his hotel room with Becky with the good hair, and Naya is dining alone, DJing alone, living alone, going to dinner alone. Like, she's doing all this stuff solo. He's out living his life. They're college sweethearts. I think he might be the only guy she's ever been with. And I'm just trying to understand the point of the trial separation. If the overarching issue is fertility, I don't get it. I don't understand why the through line. He's saying he's thought about sleeping with this artist, right? But he thinks that a surrogate would stop him from doing that. I'm so confused about this story. And why is the suggestion of a surrogate the thing that makes her want to go through their house and throw everything away? That's what did it. I'm confused by this storyline. I want it to make sense. I want it to pick up, flesh it out and make it make sense for me, because she's an amazing actor and I want to see her be an amazing actor with this character. And I'm not understanding the storyline. I am hoping, though, that since they have the guy from CSI and the soap opera, his name fell out of my head, that's a very prominent face. And I'm hoping that since they have him choosing on her, that he'll circle back and that will maybe be her love interest for the season. I want Dr. Naya to date around a bit. I want her to see what else is out there, because I didn't even understand what's going on with this husband. Break up with him. I'm done. Okay, so Seema is dating the same guy from last season. We love this for her. She was our resident single girl. She's in a relationship. She's going to miss the Met so that she can meet his ex-wife and his son. At this lunch where she meets them, she discovers that he still lives in the same house with his ex-wife. Now, he insists that they live in completely different parts. This is a very European thing to do. It's not a huge deal. But Seema suspects that maybe he's a moocher. So she shares this with Carrie and with her hairstylist. And the hairstylist really puts her on blast. Like, girl, you find an issue with every dude that you date. Like, maybe the issue is you. And Seema storms out. And I think that that's kind of fair, because I think that when women of a certain age are single, and when I say of a certain age, I think that if you're a woman over 25 and you have any semblance of a standard, people will challenge you in your standards. People will be like, oh, well, maybe, let me tell you what happened one time. So I ordered some food from Uber Eats, and it was $1,000, and that's not relevant, but why is everything $1,000? Anyway, and so the delivery guy brings me my food. I move on my life. That man took my number from the app and texted me to ask me out. I was really uncomfortable with that, because it's a violation. You know where I live. So we've jumped a bunch of steps, even if there was some sort of interest. I just felt like it was so inappropriate, and I was so uncomfortable with it. And I said to my group text, like, guys, I'm so uncomfortable that this happened. And the response was, well, was he cute? I feel like you should give him a chance. I mean, that's just the risk that you take whenever you use any kinds of those services anyway. And I was just like, so I'm the asshole? I'm the goofy bitch for, like, it's just when you're a single woman, it's almost like people feel like you should just take whatever you can get and you're just not allowed to have standards. And I really don't like that. However, I am kind of questioning, is Seema being led by her trauma or her intuition? Either way, she decides that she's not going to miss the Met for mess, which I love. Put that on a tote bag. And she goes to the Met. She thinks everything over, and she decides to give this guy another chance. But he then propositions her with an investment offer, saying, like, we can go half. Did he say half? Either way. And she was like, okay, so you are a moocher. Now, as the audience, are we to believe that he actually is a moocher, or that Seema is just avoidant and looking for a way out of a relationship because maybe she doesn't really want a relationship? Where did you guys land with that? Slide in the comments and let me know. Lastly, okay, Charlotte. I really loved Charlotte's latex look. But I'm also really into like that kind of like fetish wear. I love when people can incorporate fetish wear into streetwear. It's one of my favorite things. And it was like this very Gilded Age. I thought her Met look was very fun. Last season, we dealt with Brock's identity. This season, we're dealing with Lily's identity. Lily has been like the goody two-shoes daughter. She, is a concert pianist and all of these things. She wants to explore some different kinds of music, and she wants a keyboard that they tell her she's going to have to figure out how to buy on her own. And I'm always really puzzled how very wealthy parents decide what's too much and what isn't to help their kids with, because she ends up selling most of her wardrobe to a resale site slash boutique store, whatever, and Charlotte completely freaks out. So you're okay paying a crazy amount of money for a Chanel dress straight off the runway so that you can dress your child in a way that makes you comfortable with who they are, basically replicating you. That's okay, but you won't pay for a keyboard, a musical instrument, so that they can further explore their creativity and their passion, which is one of the benefits of being a very privileged kid, is that you get to do these really creative endeavors, having a safety net. And so she does eventually make her peace with it, and the fact that, you know, she doesn't need to track down all these clothes and track down this dress and whatnot. But Charlotte, y'all know Charlotte is not my favorite. I think Charlotte's always putting 10 on 2, and it's just like, girl, dial it down. I can kind of understand because I'm very sentimental. My mom is really sentimental with some of my things from when I was younger. Like, we still have my prom dresses and stuff like that, so I get it. But I'm just really, I say this not being a parent, but I have always found it kind of puzzling that people want their kids to be their idea of who their kid should be, or they want their kid to be a mini version of them. I don't think that kids are put here for you. I think people are born into the world for a purpose, and your job as their parent is to help them discover that purpose and nurture whatever that purpose or those gifts are. So I'm happy that Charlotte landed in a much less draining place with this, because it just was not that deep, girl. It really wasn't. And was that shop girl kind of rude and aloof? Yeah, but you were also being kind of an asshole because it's just not that deep. It's not. But again, I say this not being a parent. So that's episodes 1 and 2. Let me know what you guys think of the season thus far. I will be back next week or in a couple of days for episode 3. I'll be back either way. We're going to do this week by week, episode by episode. So make sure you come back and check in with me, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.